and I made him watch.
Hello and welcome back to Animating Watch, the podcast where I make my husband watch movies of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Danny Page, and here with me forever and always, the cutest boy, my co-host and husband, filmmaker Troy Allen. Huh?
I'm Troy Allen?
You're Troy Allen.
Who put a question mark on the teleprompter again? Anyways, thank you all
Ron
for...
Burgundy. What a throwback. What a reference.
I know.
What a great way to start this podcast.
Now that's cinema, okay?
The first one was not bad. The second one kind of fucking sucked.
Yeah.
the second one
kinda
bombed.
You could feel it was forced. It was definitely...
Yeah.
It felt forced.
It didn't, it didn't need.
No.
Yeah, it didn't need a second one.
Could have left it alone.
Yeah. Stand alone, perfectly fine.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you all for coming back to Animate and Watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we love to have you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Thanks.
So we watched the iconic French Czechoslovakian. So did I say it right? I don't. Czechoslovakian.
Czechoslovakian.
It's an animated film, Fantastic Planet.
Yes.
And it's an interesting one.
That it is. Very interesting. I have never seen so many boobs in an animated film.
They're aliens. I don't know if we can, and there's also the humans too. So yeah, there's a lot of chest exposure here.
Yeah.
Of females.
Yeah.
Only females.
Yeah. Well, and I might have a thing or two to say about that later.
Okay, we can definitely.
Yeah,
we'll have to talk about it.
Talk about that.
So it's based off of a 1957 novel, Alms de series by Stephen Wool, which translates to Alms Linked Together. And then it was directed by René Laloux, I do believe. René Laloux. And from what I gather, Fantastic Planet is Laloux's first feature-length film. He had done a bunch of little animated shorts prior to this. The vision and how the film comes to life is thanks to artist and illustrator Ronald Topper, who also helped write the screenplay.
Interesting.
Production began in 1968 at the Jiri Studio in Prague.
Yeah.
Trunka Studio
Anyways.
in Prague. However, due to the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia in August of 1968, the production was halted and resumed the following year, leading to a prolonged production period. Production resumed in Paris, and it took 4 years for them to continue and finish the movie. The soundtrack is by Alan Gallagher. He blended a lot of jazz, funk, and electro type of music. It's very kind of like funkadelic.
Yeah.
A little spacey.
Yeah.
Definitely fantasy, sci-fi type vibe to it.
Yeah. This is definitely one of the movies that the score definitely stuck out to me. Like, I felt like the score really held the film together.
It did in a way where it came together with the film very flawlessly, and it kind of just really sinks you into the scenes and what you're watching.
Yeah.
It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb or become the actual attention. It actually just flows really well and brings the story alive.
Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, other than those damn Soviets always ruining everything.
Dude, aren't they always?
Bro.
Continuously.
Let it go, dude. It's over.
If only it was that easy. So Fantastic Planet is a stop motion cutout animation, a technique using 2D cutouts that were moved frame by frame over static backgrounds. It gives the film a very surreal and eerie appearance, like a very twisted storybook. It really...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was definitely storybook-ish.
Yeah, it is.
But, yeah.
So these giant blue fish people called Draags have migrated human beings called Ohms who are considered animals by the Draags to the planet Yam. Yam? I think it's Yam. I think they pronounce Yam. In the beginning of this movie, it's already dark. It's really sad. It's really disturbing. We see a female Om carrying her infant being picked on by 3 drag children until she dies, leaving the infant alone.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up because there's a scene or this shot where one of the Draag children like thump the woman. She flies, and then they pick her up and then drop her, and that's what ultimately kills her. But yeah, the artwork, though, like I mentioned earlier, it's very reminiscent of Wizards, as well as like, even though like the Pied Piper wasn't necessarily animated.
I mean, it was stop motion, claymation.
Was stop motion,
yeah.
But in the sense of like actual hand drawn art, I mean, we saw a lot of that in Pied Piper, but not to this scale, I guess. I don't know.
The art is a reflecting of how adult and gritty and dark the world is.
Yeah.
And it does, when we do get a lot of like adult animation, especially from like the 70s and the 60s and even the 80s, it has that rough kind of texture to it. Topper's art style is very illustrated, but like ink illustrations, lots of scratching, a lot of like pen work. It gives it a lot of texture, and it almost makes it look kind of, especially with the alms, they look almost dirty with how much detail and like texture he gives them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that very gritty, dark type of fantasy that kind of definitely blares or like signals like this is for adults. This isn't like something cutesy and children are gonna like pay attention to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely stuck out to me. Kind of in the vein of like Dr. Seuss meets Salvador Dali. Kind of.
We'll definitely talk about like the planet and stuff and everything, because that's a big part of this. So the drag children see Master Shin and his daughter Tiva walking towards them, and they abandon the infant with his dead mother. And Tiva just decides to adopt the infant as a pet and names him Tyr.
Yeah.
Because and another thing, the beginning of this movie lets you know that these humans are viewed as insects.
Yeah.
This is like kids playing with the magnifying glasses and ants.
Right.
This is, trapping bugs and pulling their wings off type of cruel children type of things.
Yeah. Also, it's worth noting that the Draag people are giants compared to the Ohms. And it gives a unique perspective to the plight of the Ohms, because it's very... it's supposed to really emphasize that dynamic between them.
The power dynamic,
the Draags are the oppressor here. So, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. I did say giant blue fish people.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
So they are. I wanted to make sure they are.
Yeah.
It definitely is a symbolism of power over the smaller and the weak. So after returning home, Tiva's parents instruct her to call her Tyr, and the color is like connected to this bracelet that Tiva wears and can force Tyr like in any direction. So if he runs off too far, she can turn the bracelet on and he'll just like scrape across the floor and be like brought back to her. Right.
Yeah. And it's very it really points the finger at how dehumanizing the treatment of the Ohms is. And I don't know, like, to me, a lot of this film kind of brought to the surface the idea of, like, oppression that we've seen in human history over the course of the past millennia or whatever. I mean, and not just within the 20th century. I'm really beating around the bush about it, aren't I?
I don't mean to keep picking these movies. But it somehow keeps happening and keeps being relevant. So
Yeah, I mean, well,
what can you do?
yeah, but you have to understand, like, art reflects life,
Yeah, it does.
you know? So, I mean, everything we've seen in cinema in the past 100 years is a product of its time. You know, we've seen movies like, I don't know.
I mean, the fact that they were making this movie and then got invaded by Soviet Russia
Yeah.
honestly,
It's-
it's a little on the head,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, you know,
But these are also lessons we need to continuously learn
yeah.
in different ways and stuff. So,
True. I mean, because people learn history, but they don't really pay attention to it because it doesn't really affect them,
yeah.
you know, or it doesn't affect them in the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when people put it in their art and stuff, obviously it has affected them in some form or fashion for them to do that. So, yeah.
So the Draags are these highly intelligent beings, and then use meditation to evolve spiritually, which is important and will come in later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just seems to be kind of part of why they see themselves as higher being than the Ohms, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And the thing is, you can't really think you're the highest being without giving the same, I guess, opportunities to a similar, you know, person or species.
right.
Because, I mean, obviously we see what happens when Ohms begin to learn and stuff, you know. So they have so Master Sin is actually like a head honcho in this like alien community. And they have a meeting about the Ohms, and there's some skepticism about the intelligence. And then the fact that Ohms live shorter lives than Draags and produce a lot quicker. They're very much treated like vermin, like they're rats or something that produces quickly. And the Ohms that are out in nature or wild Ohms are actually exterminated occasionally.
Yes. Yeah. That's quite the difficult topic to talk about. But what we're seeing currently in this film, like they're in this like, I kind of equate it to like a Senate type setting.
Like a council, like a
Yeah, and they're discussing what to do about the Ohms, and there's like a cycle that they go through with the Ohms and you know, exterminating them and stuff. And then as far as like the Ohms living shorter lives, it's mentioned later on that 1 year of Ohm life is 1 week to the Draags.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
That is
It's very
crazy. But they're on an alien planet and all
True.
that stuff. So,
True.
And there's a difference, I think, when you have such a massive creature compared to such a smaller creatures. There's definitely going to be a different lifespan anyway.
Yeah. It's like, you know, I don't even want to talk about it.
Oh,
I don't even want to talk. I was gonna say.
What? Momo?
Yeah.
Well, what about Momo?
Well, because I may live to be 80, 90 years old, you know, but by that point, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's life.
that is life, but I don't like it.
No.
Anyways,
yeah. So we get this almost like montage of like Tyr growing up, which were probably is like 3 weeks in Tiva's time versus like 3 years in Tyr's time. She's dressing him up, she's cleaning him, playing with him, dunking him in water, and almost getting him trapped in these crystals. Like there's a lot of like power dynamic here between the two.
Well, it's kind of like, imagine how a child, like a child would treat like a pet hamster or something.
Yeah,
like
it is. Yeah.
You know, like wanting to dress him up and like playing with him a little too rough and shit like that. So,
Well, the thing is, you mentioned the like playing with him too rough. There is like this very like initial like fear for Tyr in the hands of Tiva, because she is like, we see an example of how the children treat the Ohms and stuff in the wild, and it's almost like at any moment she could just like squeeze him you know, and that's true. And there's also this dissociative type of relationship as well.
Yeah.
Because Tyr is not being, you know, thought of as a like thinking and feeling creature. It's an object. It's a plaything. It's a doll.
Right. And we saw at the beginning of the film that that's exactly how his mother died, was being played with Tyr. But I also wanted to point out, like, the visual, I guess, not aesthetic, but the characteristics of the Draags. It kind of reminds me of George Méliès's 1902.
Oh, yeah, you said that,
Yeah. His film, A Trip to the Moon. So if you've never seen the film, it's obviously black and white silent film, and these scientists discuss the idea of going to the moon. So they load up this cannon with this like bullet-shaped capsule, and they get in it, and they're fired at the moon. And it's very comical too, because like the moon has a face, and the cannon shoots it in the eye.
Yes, yeah, I remember.
So anyways, they find these people on the moon, and they kind of remind me of like fish-like type people, because they have sort of like kind of like fins on their head and stuff. And it's not very detailed, and plus like the backgrounds are hand painted and stuff, and it's I don't know, it's just very strange.
Well, it's interesting because the moon comes into play later in the movie.
Right.
So I mean, there definitely could be some, you know,
yeah, I mean,
inspiration.
As far as French filmmakers go, I mean, who else to take inspiration from than
honestly,
Méliès, you know?
Honestly,
so, I mean, yeah, interesting.
Also, they like the Draags turn into like these weird fish people that live in like clam or sleeping clams.
Yeah.
At night, I thought that was an interesting detail.
Yeah,
didn't
she like grow a tail? And
yeah,
stuff,
her like legs morph into like a single like tail, like a tadpole kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's cool.
But yeah, it is strange how Tiva is treating Tyr like a pet in this scene too, because she kind of like curls up with him.
Sleeps with him. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's strange. I mean, I think it also, as a human watching this animated film, you know you're human, and you kind of view things as non-human, you know, in a way. And I think that was a way for them to really nail that this is actually not like a human creature, that this is something out of the, you know, not ordinary kind of thing.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Kind of. But like,
because she turns into kind of like a fish herself, like an animal.
True.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't really know what the idea behind that is.
I think it was just a stylization kind of thing, just to make it more abstract.
No, I don't. See, my thing is like, you wouldn't take a character like that and make it morph into something else just for the aesthetic.
Well, that's something to really think about, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of like symbology behind it.
Probably.
But I don't know. I think a lot of it does deal with the fact that typically oppressors view their subjects or whatever,
their victims
as non-human. You know, they try to paint them as this like animalistic sort of creature to disassociate themselves from that.
It's Tiva. Tiva would be the abuser in this situation.
I know, but like,
we might be going to more of a rant and stuff, and we're really prepared to discuss at this moment.
True.
Because I just thought it was a strange element, you know, to add.
Yeah.
But if you want to really think about it, you can. So Tiva uses a headset to absorb educational knowledge, which Tyr also begins to access secretly due to a defect in his collar, and he begins to learn drag science and philosophy.
Yeah. I wish I could do that.
Yeah, it would be so nice to just download knowledge, to like listen to something once and be like, oh, yeah, I understand that completely.
Well, it reminds me of The Matrix. Mm-hmm. You know, like, oh, I know Kung Fu, you know?
Yeah. As someone who has like I have ADHD and some autistic tendencies, so I don't retain knowledge very easily.
Mm-hmm.
This would be such a lifesaver. It would be a game changer for me.
So the way it's explained in the movie is it's not just absorbing data, but it's actually like it's like
images.
Directly imprinting it in their like neurons and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
We have some more filler in the movie. There's this crystal garden incident which I mentioned, but Tiva takes Tyr into this garden and these crystals start to form around anything that's touching the ground, and they begin to take over Tyr's body and cover him. And then Tiva just like whistles and breaks him free. And Tyr learns from that he can also break the crystals. And this seems like important, but it's not like brought up ever again.
My idea behind it is I think it could be him learning that even though he's being quote unquote oppressed by this crystal, that he has a way of fighting back.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
He uses his knowledge. That's right. He learns what he can do to free himself. Yes. So yeah, he's using his knowledge. Yeah. Yeah, okay. That was good. Okay. Yeah, that makes some sense. Yeah. Yeah. So at one point Tiva tries to get Tyr to fight other Ohms. These other children have their own pet Ohms and they're dressed ridiculously. There's two women who are tied together by their hair. Yeah. And it's very much like wet t-shirt type of contest type of thing going on. The boobs are out, hair is being pulled. It really is. There's some definitely like sexualization of women happening in this animation. Yeah. Even so the Draags, the men have these like fully clothed type of looks, but the women Draags or the female Draags have their breast exposed. Even like Tiva's breasts are exposed. Yes. And it's an interesting stylization choice, I guess. I mean, they're aliens. I guess they do what they want, but human men created it. True. But what I don't understand, obviously the women in this movie are being objectified, both Draag and Ohm alike. But the Draag have both breasts exposed, but the Ohms only have one breast exposed. Yeah, I don't know. So obviously there has to be a reason behind that. I think the Ohms having the one breast exposed is like that like caveman type of thing, because they're dressed in like rags and off the shoulder type of things. Yeah. But I think it was a personal choice when they created the characters. Yeah. Or maybe that's how they're described in the book. I didn't really think about that. I didn't really actually look into the writing of the book. I just know that it's based off of a novel. Oh, okay. So I mean, I guess if the author explained how the Draags looked with their breast exposed, I guess. True. True. But still. Yeah. I mean, nudity is not always sexual, but it was definitely a choice, and it's definitely something that will. Yeah. It provokes a question. Right. I don't. There were some like sexual things in the film, but I don't think that. I don't know if the breast being exposed was a sexual thing. Okay. I think it may have been like, a reflection of men having this like power over women, like. I don't know, because the men aren't being treated like that. No, they are not treated that way. Again, I think it was a personal choice for the artist. It's something. Okay. It's a question. This whole animation is kind of like a question. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So the children are trying to fight their Ohms together, and then one of the Ohms starts singing, and Tiva tries to get Tyr to sing, and he's not impressed, which shows us he's learned and is a bit more intelligent than the average Ohm, and he like ends up like attacking. Yeah. Attacking the other. Yeah. Choke this male Ohm starts singing like horribly, and then just like he just grabs him by the neck and starts strangling. Yeah. It's so it reminds me of
Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where Caesar becomes, sentient, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And Terror is just like, you need to stop being a fucking chimp.
I don't know if it's because he needs to stop being a chimp. I don't think that was it at all. I think he was just annoyed that this Om was singing and wouldn't stop.
It could have been.
I think honestly that's what it was. I don't think he thought anything other than that yet.
I don't know, because I feel like I think you and I have both had different schools of thought for the film, but I think it was basically him trying to get the other Ohms to stop objectifying themselves, stop being their entertainment.
I mean, he didn't defy Tiva, because Tiva was telling him to sing and stuff, and he's denying it. So I can understand that train of thought, though. Yeah, I can understand that point of view.
I mean,
but I think it was just the horrible singing.
It could have been.
I think it was.
Bro, shut up. Just shut up. That's what he was saying.
So after the pets and stuff fight, there's another scene where Tyr kind of stumbles upon these 4 male Draags meditating, and they're going through this metamorphosis type of thing. Their body is changing and stuff. And the Draags, the only thing they really do is meditate.
Yeah.
And then talk and destroy Ohms for some reason.
Yeah.
They talk about factories and stuff, but I don't see one Draag working anything. They're always meditating.
Yep.
And through this meditation, they kind of they leave their bodies, and their bodies start to morph and come together and morph back. So it's very interesting, kind of this idea of leaving your body and not knowing what's happening to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And kind of just letting whatever happens around it happen, and not paying attention to what's in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a literal portrayal of astral projection.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, in that scene with the 4 guys, they're in this room, and there's wiggly things coming out of the walls.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're going all chameleon and shit.
Yeah.
It's super strange.
It is.
LSD is a hell of a drug.
It definitely, this movie is very psychedelic.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
So after a while, Tiva has her first meditation and loses interest in Tyr. And as Tyr grows older and more independent, he uses his knowledge to escape into the wild, taking Tiva's learning headset with him.
Yeah, dude. He just drags that fucking thing. Drags it behind him.
Tyr is done with his shit. She's like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, it's
done.
The fucking great escape, bro.
So after being saved by a female Om that frees him from his collar, he joins a group of wild oppressed humans, or a human tribe, who live in hiding from drag extermination campaigns. So he kind of it's in this garden, and it's been abandoned and run down and stuff, and they've just been living there for a few generations probably.
Yeah. Also, there's I don't know if it's shortly after this, but there's a shaky octopus thing.
Oh yeah. So as this female Om and Tyr are traveling across the planet, wherever they are, because how they have designed and created this planet world, it's this very bizarre, vast, flat land, and then every now and then you'll have this very strange plant or strange animal. It's like you said, it's very Dr. Seuss.
Yeah,
it's twisty, turny, upside down type of stuff.
The whole time I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, bro, this is the Lorax, shit is wacky.
So, yeah, you were talking about this. It's like a tree that has this animal creature thing that's trapped inside of it like a cage.
Yeah.
And it has this long nose.
Right. But he controls it, though.
Yeah, he has this long nose that have these branches, and this fish lizard bird thing flies down and lands on the nose, and the creature like just wraps the other like
It's
branches,
like tendrils around it, and then it just starts shaking it to death.
Yeah.
And then we like cut to like a wide shot of it, and there's like a dozen of these fucking birds.
Yeah, dead
Just around it. And it's like
nature.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, typically when things kill other things,
They eat it.
It's for food, yeah. But this seemingly just kills for fun.
Yeah.
For sport. And
I wonder what that message is. Troy's face right now is just...
I don't know. I don't even. I mean, I could boil something up, but I don't want to say. Anyways.
So then Tyr kind of like becomes part of this tribe, and he is able to like translate the boxes the Olms have collected, because they gather food like from the Draags. They go out on expeditions and gather goods and then come back to the garden. Yeah. So on one of these boxes, they're kind of like, the tribe is laughing when they first meet Tyr. Because he is dressed like a pet. He's got these funny looking shoes on and this outfit. And this guy, one of these Olms, is like laughing at him and hitting this box that he's resting on. And Tyr's like, wait, don't do that. That's a trap. And as soon as he does that, the box kind of like sucks him up and then sinks into the ground.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sick.
It's kind of funny, though, because come to find out his name was
Frisky. He's got a pet name.
He's got a pet name.
Yeah.
I just called the pants that Tyr is wearing. They're just big bird legs.
They do look like big bird legs. Yeah. So Tyr continues to translate the boxes to prove himself. He also witnesses a night ritual where the Olms eat these like glowing rocks and then they glow. Pretty sure it's some sort of like mating ritual, because the women run out, they like get naked and run out into the garden, and the men chase them. And
right, and it wasn't until later, because these like, I'm trying to think, it was like two women. They're standing inside these holes, I guess, and there's guys on top of this fucking boulder, right? And they're sprinkling the shit down.
Yeah.
So that boulder, it's like a big stone, like
I think it's either a stone or a skull of the Draags.
Yeah, it's one or the other. I don't know if it could be a skull, I guess, but yeah, it's got the fin ears and everything. So I didn't realize it until later, though.
They all bone.
Yeah,
They're all bone.
All bone.
So sometime later, the chief of the Wild Olms declare that Draag knowledge is evil and makes Tyr fight other members of the tribe with these combat animals. So Tyr has let the other Olms use the headset, and they've been learning. And the chief doesn't like that.
Yeah.
And so these... I just read your notes. So these combat animals are like these like pointy snake things. They have tied the Olm's legs, or not legs, but their hands back, and then strapped these really bitey animals to their chest. And so Tyr and this other Olm fight with those animals attacking each other and also attacking the Olms.
Yeah.
Until Tyr wins.
Yeah. They're called combat animals, but they sound like either really loud porn or elephants.
They sound like elephants.
I don't know.
You also said, what the fuck is this movie? It's Fantastic Planet.
I haven't figured that out.
Planet Sauvage. And then you have the animals that make the clothes for Tyr. Describe what they look like.
So they're, I don't know, they're small, like almost like snail looking creatures with this stuff that comes out, but it like completely surrounds Tyr, and Tyr is butt ass naked, by the way.
Yeah.
But it completely surrounds him, and then all of a sudden, they start like creating him new clothes and stuff. So, yeah,
they're almost like alien automated sheep.
Okay. Yeah.
So they are, like you said, they're like snails, but they have these like mouths that kind of look very like vaginas, kind of to me, like a vagina.
Okay.
And they have like this pink bubbly stuff coming out of their mouths, and then they surround him and like knit the pink stuff around Tyr and create clothes for him.
Yeah, it's quite the spectacle.
So later on, back from collecting food, the tribe is ambushed by the Hollow Tree tribe. So the Hollow Bush tribe is the one that Tyr belongs to.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. Mm-mm. Yeah, because it said...
Or wait, no, a Hollow... Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
So on the way back, the Hollow Tree tribe is attacked by the Hollow Bush tribe.
Yeah.
So there are two tribes within the garden, at least.
And they're carrying back these cubes, right? And the Hollow Bush tribe just dropped these like fucking claw things down.
And yonked them.
Up.
Mm-hmm. Send the food. Not fair. Not cool, guys. Not cool. Well. And then the wild Ohms continue to learn from the headset. Eventually, they're attacked by this dinosaur bird thing.
Yeah. I was like, what kind of fucked up bird thing is that?
So this dragon bird thing eats some Ohms, but the Ohms gather and fight back and take revenge, and then drink its blood.
Yeah. Also, that's gross. I mean, the dragon bird thing probably had a family, you know?
Don't all living things have some sort of family?
I guess, but what is family? What is family?
It's a good question, Troy.
What makes you and I family?
We love each other, and we live together, and we're married.
Okay, but
so that's family.
But is dragon bird thing capable of love?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if dragon bird thing is capable of love, Troy.
If he's incapable of love, then he don't have family.
Okay. Well, he's dead now, so it doesn't matter if he has family or not.
I mean, matter of fact, he died in 1973.
Yeah, he's been dead.
He's been dead for quite some time now.
Dead. Yeah.
R.I.P. dragon bird thing.
So, the Draags intensify their extermination efforts against the Ohms, viewing them as pests because they're starting to get a little out of control. The population's increasing. And some passes in the garden, and the tribe discovers that the garden has been marked for Ohm extermination.
Yeah, all Fern Gully style.
Yeah, very much. Very much. So Tyr ventures to Hollow Bush, but is subdued and captured. He warns them that the garden is marked for extermination and wanted the Ohms to live, like all of the Ohms. And then one of their... Oh, that's what you wrote.
But one of their group literally read the writing on the wall.
Yeah. So while he is captured, the Draags begin the extermination. Many Ohms are killed. Tyr's group survives and becomes more determined.
Yeah, they're also these Draags being led through Hollow Bush by Ohms.
Reverse that. Oh no, they are being led by Ohms. Like they've got these Ohms on leashes. They're like sniffer dogs.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So they're guiding the Ohms through the garden, looking for more Ohms.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it. Would say it, but anyway.
Yeah, but if you're guiding someone, aren't they being led by you?
I don't know, man. I don't know where I am. It's just fucked up.
Also, there's like these Roomba things that keep chucking these hockey puck gas bomb things.
Yeah, they are like Roombas with these like... Because, okay, so the way things work in this world, in the drug and Ohm world, is they have these very sophisticated technologies and they seem to work fine, but the way that they are drawn and the way they are drawn aren't what's the word I'm looking for?
They're like physically incapable of working.
Yeah, it's not practical. Practical is the word I'm looking for.
True.
They're just not practical. They're great inventions, but the way they're drawn and executed, it makes it impossible for them to do the thing.
These things go beyond practicality. These things defy physics.
I know. Okay? Yeah. It's a bunch of like tubes. There's not like... Anyway.
Yeah, they all come from the same spot, too.
It's design. It's a design flaw. The elder of the hollow bush releases Tyr when the attack begins, and he runs back to Hollow Tree looking for his tribe and finds it's already been attacked.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the survivors of Hollow Tree and Hollow Bush tribe merge together outside the garden where they are attacked by 2 Draags, but are able to kill one.
Yeah.
They take down this Draag. Because these 2 Draags are they're walking along the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And they're like, smells like alms out here, vermin. And then they just start smashing them like they're ants, like they're bugs.
Stomping them. Yeah. That's why when the one fell, I was like, hell yeah, fuck them Draags.
Yeah,
dude.
fuck them guys, man. You have these. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the elder of the Hollow Bush leads the survivors to a rocket graveyard where the Ohms begin a new life and prepare to leave the planet.
Also, it was during this where we see a good bit more of the planet surface, and we see these like trees that are like whipping back and forth. I just called them whipping trees, which is dark. I just realized. And then they also find this road, but their roads are literally conveyor belts. And I was like, dude, imagine that. Imagine if
we just have conveyor belts instead of interstates.
Yeah, or just like every road. You know, you just, hey, I got to go to the store. I just hop on the conveyor belt and go.
I mean, it would probably, not be as many accidents and car wrecks and stuff, car crashes.
But it would also not be very cost effective because that would take a lot of fucking money.
It would take a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of pollution probably too.
And those things would break down all the time, and then nobody would be able to go anywhere.
People, if we had them in America, people would be fucking with them.
True.
And
True, you couldn't have them in Appalachia because people would just steal all the copper out of it.
Probably.
or here in Southern California.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Sad.
Oh yeah, the fucking.
I know.
The 14 broke down today. Oh, why is that? Because the fucking people stealing the damn copper out of it.
They really upgrade in life as they develop a ship to take them off planet. They also have hide their existence continuously from the Draags.
Yeah, and then there's another Senate meeting, and they're all like, "Oh no, a Draag was murdered. What are we gonna do about this?" But I'd like to point out that nothing was said about the fact that the Draags was stomping on the Ohms.
Of course not, because why would they? I mean, they are ants or bugs to these people.
Yeah, they were
it's
simply
normal.
defending themselves.
Like roaches, You wouldn't arrest a roach or something, right?
Arrest a roach?
Arrest a roach or a bug for killing a human?
The key is like, say I was out there stomping on bugs, and then I got upset that they wanted to defend themselves, and then started like attacking me.
That's what happened.
Yeah. That's what happened. You went and stomped on the fucking anthill, and then they bit you.
Yep.
What did you think was going to happen? Anyways.
Well, I guess they think so little of the Ohms, they weren't expecting any fight back.
True, but that says more about them than it does.
Oh yeah, it says a ton about Draags. There's a ton.
Yeah.
So the Ohms begin to use their knowledge from the headset to build their rocket, and even machines to shrink parts to the correct size.
Yeah, dude.
Which is really cool.
I love seeing how far Tur has come from being a pet to now. It's like, again, it's like Rise from Planet of the Apes.
It's like 2 weeks in Draag time, and the shit's just hit the fan,
Yeah, fucking Tur just woke up one day, and he was just like, no! and everybody lost their fucking minds.
I have the knowledge now.
His eyes are all sparkly green. Fucking Tur.
The Draags are really underestimating the Ohms, but as Tyr's group prepares to leave the planet and go to the wild planet, the Ohms are still being exterminated.
Also, old lady got some triangle titties.
Oh yeah. So the tribe leader, the elder of the Hollow Bush, is an old woman, like an old woman, and her titties look like upside down triangles.
Yeah, they must not have ever invented bras, ever.
And it's not even that, really, honestly. Like, it's just that's
Yeah.
how they drew the old woman very ugly and with triangle boobs.
True. Also, the rockets look like penises.
Well, what else are rockets supposed to look like?
No, I mean, these actually look like penises. Like, I know people say rockets look like
They
penises,
do.
but these actually look like penises.
Okay. They do. So after the rockets are completed, the Alms head off into space to the wild planet. The Alms discover that the Draags project their consciousness into giant statues as part of their evolution and reproductive cycle.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird too because their meditation, these like orbs come down and take the place of the heads of the statues, and then they start like dancing.
Yeah. So when Tiva lost interest in Tyr, it's because she was going off and dancing with boys.
Oh my God, Tiva!
Tiva, girl, you got responsibilities. You got a baby to take care of. Like,
You got a child.
Probably she was probably like 10 by then.
True.
So that's what, like
That's
10
like
weeks.
1,000 years.
That's 10 weeks in Draag time
True, but each week is a year
for Alms.
for Ohms.
Yeah,
So that's like
10 years.
Okay.
1 week.
Listen,
1 year.
I don't do math. Okay?
1
I
week, 1 year.
refuse. We'll just take your word for it.
Okay. So, understanding and seeing the Draags on these statues, the Alms start blasting.
Yeah.
They just start blasting the statues and breaking them, and the orbs go crazy and stuff. And then the Alms that are in, not Alms, but the Draags that are in meditation, like, go blind. Like,
Yeah.
and stumble around.
Yeah.
And panic ensues and chaos. It's great.
Yeah, them Ohms, they gave them what for?
So the Draags, fearing the loss of their evolutionary path, negotiate peace with the Alms. They agree to stop exterminating them and provide them with a separate moon to live peacefully. And that's literally how it ends. It's very abrupt.
Yep.
It's very
Roll
like
credits.
to the point.
Yeah, it definitely felt like, because we watched a documentary about it after the fact too, and one thing that really kind of stuck out to me was the person was saying how it felt rushed to the end and how it may have been like a budgetary constraint and stuff. So, I mean, it could have literally been like they just ran out of money. Or maybe the Soviets were trying it again.
Yeah.
You know, they just had, oh shit, we got to try it. We got to hurry.
There's a lot of stuff that could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to wait a whole year to go back, and then it took them an extra 4 years. So I'm thinking the budget was a little slim.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Fantastic Planet won Special Jury Prize in the 1973 Cannes Film Festival. And then in 1916, Jesus. In 2016, Rolling Stones ranked it 36th greatest animation movie ever.
So yeah, the worlds obviously that we've seen, they're just filled with, you know, this like fantasy version of fauna and alien technology and these biomechanical elements that make the viewer feel constantly unmoored and curious. So it's kind of like you're just being drugged through this planet or this alien planet, you know. And then with the color tones, you know, we're seeing a lot of blues, grays, muted reds, and these are just creating an unearthly, distant feel. And the Draags are bright blue and otherworldly, while the Ohms and their surroundings are often more earth toned but still strange. The color tones that we see, or the color palette, also does a really good job of dehumanizing the Ohms enough to feel like allegorical while still evoking that sympathy. Because it really helps us distinguish that Ohms do not belong here.
Yeah,
like they
exactly.
they are not of this world. But it distances the viewer from reality, allowing the film to explore themes like totalitarianism, animal cruelty, colonialism, and spiritual alignment without being didactic.
Yeah.
And also, the movie itself is just a strong allegory.
It is. It really is.
You know?
There's so many different messages. There's so many different levels to this animation that it's kind of overwhelming how many messages and things they try to cram into it.
Yes. Well, and I feel like that kind of ties into why I'm constantly trying to figure out what the symbolism is behind something.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Because it's like, to me, from like a filmmaker standpoint, if I'm showing you, the viewer, something,
It's meant.
it's not just for the hell of it. It's supposed to tell you something,
Yep.
So, but we see things like anthropocentrism, or the belief that humans are superior to other beings. We see racism, again, colonialism, animal rights, imperialism, dehumanization. The Draags showed detachment and cruelty, especially children, treating Ohms like toys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty grueling. Yeah.
You also have more, systematic oppression. You've got there's so many. It's also, when we watched that documentary, it was compared to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Because of that dehumanization and that animal type of animal cruelty type thing.
Yeah.
So it is. I think I would definitely recommend people would watch this movie at least once.
Yeah. I love how you put Planet of the Apes. Yeah, so the roles of species dominance and stuff. So I get that. But obviously, like, the Ohms in the end rising up against their oppressors, even though in Planet of the Apes,
the apes went crazy. The apes just took over.
They did.
But they did the same thing that was happening to them, to their species, to humans.
Yes. But I don't know if I would call, like, humans oppressors of chimps or primates.
I think in that world.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe I need to go back and rewatch it.
Maybe.
Anyways.
But all in all, the message is that mutual empathy and understanding are essential to peaceful coexistence.
Yes, absolutely.
And we should remember that.
Yeah.
Some people don't understand that, Troy. Did you know that?
I guess not.
Some people just aren't brained right.
Yeah.
They're not wired right. They don't understand empathy and understanding.
It's just sad. Because to me, it's like, okay, how far would we be as a civilization if war didn't exist? We would be in a different reality, honestly. We would be living in a different time, a different world altogether. I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that war doesn't also create good. So, like, for example, if we didn't have war, the earth would see hellacious overpopulation and stuff.
Well, ask yourself, what is war? What is the most reason we have war?
I would say the number one reason in the history of mankind, probably religion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either religion or arbitrary territorial, lines.
All it comes down to, and I like to simplify things. I'm a simple person. It comes down to people feeling special and wanting to feel like they're better than their neighbor for some reason.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's hard for humans to have a little bit of an ego death where they realize that the world does not revolve around them. Yeah. And it ends up, hurting other people because they can't just, settle and be happy with what they have and mostly just worry about what other people are doing.
True.
It's very simple, honestly. It's so simple.
Yeah, it is. And
fucking
it can
people,
be,
man.
But here we are.
Brains are crazy.
Brains are crazy.
Brains are so fucking crazy.
Did you know that the brain is the only organ of the human body that named itself?
Yep.
That's crazy. Anyways, I think that's it for Fantastic Planet
so
today.
this wasn't like the ha funny episode or anything. Like, this was a very pretty serious toned episode because it's a very serious toned movie film.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening and sticking with us.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously, in our coming episodes, we're gonna be as funny as ever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Who knows? I mean, I like to tell a joke every now and then.
Yeah. I guess that's what you call them, huh?
Yeah.
That's what you call them.
Anyways, next week's episode we've got.
I am looking for it now.
I want to say it's Fright Night.
I think it is Fright Night. So next week on April 13th, we are watching Fright Night. It's one of my favorite movies. My favorite B movies. One of the movies that started this whole like obsession of mine years ago. I think the first time I watched Fright Night was in Japan.
Hell yeah.
So it's been more than 20 years.
Wow. Well,
or more than 10 years. Sorry, not 20 years.
yeah.
I'm not that old. So it's, yeah. So
Anyways,
Fright Night.
Yeah.
Be there. Be square.
Yeah. Well, obviously, until then, you can catch all of our episodes and stuff on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. You can always find us at Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and on our website at www.animatedwatch.com. So, until next time, stay spooky.
I'm going to go sell drugs now. Bye. Schedule one. Bye.